Hello, it's Justin here, coming to you from my hotel in Nice. I'm going to do this little series of lessons now called Jazzing Up Your Blues. I'm going to show you some more interesting chords and some approaches to playing arpeggios. It's kind of a good leader, a way of getting into playing some jazz. If you've not played jazz before, this is a good kind of way of getting used to the idea of what's called making the changes, which is where you change the notes that you play depending on what the chord is. So maybe you know, like a regular 12-bar blues has a 1, 4 and 5 chords. It's called the first chord, the fourth chord and the fifth chord in a key. They're nearly always dominant 7th chords. For this example, all of the way through, I'm going to be using a blues in the key of A. I'm assuming that you know already how to use the minor pentatonic scale to make up a solo in A. In that instance, you know that you just play, say, the A minor pentatonic scale over the whole thing. But in this approach, we're going to use a different arpeggio for each chord change. Now, before we start getting into the single line stuff, I just thought I'd introduce you to a couple of chords that you might find useful. Now, what we're going to be using is what's called a quick change. I'm going to take my plug out. Sorry. So you can actually hear the guitar, might help. First of all, I'll just play you through a regular A 12-bar blues. We're just going to be using A7, like an E-shaped bar chord, the D7, also using an A-shaped bar chord, and an E7, which is also using an A-shaped bar chord. Now, you really need to be familiar with those before you embark on this. So I'm going to play it with what's called fours, which is just 4 strums on each bar, just so you can make sure you've got the format down, but also check the website for a tab on this to make sure that you've got, well, it won't be actually a tab, sheet music. Here's our A7 blues, 3, 4, 1. E7, 1, 2, 3, 4, D7, back to A7, and then to E7. So that's like your most basic form of strumming for your 12-bar blues in the key of A. Now what we're going to introduce you to now is a 9th chord. So the first version of the A9 that we've got here, I'll go to a close-up on these in a sec. Okay, so here we are for our A9, which looks like this. This is first finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, 2nd finger 4th fret 3rd string, and little finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Now, the important thing to realise here is that the root note is here on the 6th string, but we're not playing the root note. So there's regular A7, and here's A9, but it's got a C sharp as the lowest note. It's quite important that you suss out that the root note is here. Yeah, so the first finger is kind of 1 fret behind and 1 string over from. There's the root note, there's A9. So it'd be a good idea to practice maybe going A7, A9. A7, A9. The other chord that we're using for this sort of blues, this jazzed up blues, is a D9, just like this. Now to start with this one, you use your 3rd finger to bar the thinnest 3 strings. Then first finger goes down, that's at the 5th fret. First finger goes down on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and 2nd finger reaches over the top. It's really important that this finger reaches kind of over the top of that finger. See, it's on top of it, it's not behind it. If you put it in the gap, then that finger will mute the note that you should be playing with your first finger. So it's quite important that this finger goes round. Again, just like we've had with the A-shaped bar chords, you see that my 3rd finger knuckle is quite far forward there. So be awares of that as well. You're not going to play the 6th string, there's the root note on the 5th string. It should sound like this. make sure that fourth string, the note with your first finger, is ringing out, because that's the hardest one to get going on. So, those are the two chords that we're going to be using for this little example. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure that you can use each one of those chords to play all of the way through the 12-bar blues. So we'd start with the A9, this is the quick change one that we just did. Start with our A9, so to go A9, D9, back to A9, making sure that you know how to move the root note around, 2, 3, back to D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and back. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, up to E, 1, 2, 3, down to D, back to A, and up to E. So it was all using that first shape that I told you about, that was the A9 voicing, yeah? So that was our first 12-bar blues, using that first shape. Now the second way we can do it is also using the shape I showed it to you was a D9, there, down there at the 5th fret. The root note was on the 5th string, which was the note D. If we move that up to the 12th fret, we get an A9 again. So this is one way of playing A9, up with the second finger on the 12th fret. And you could have played A9 down there using that first shape. So if, again, we take the second shape, the one with the little third finger bar in it, we play through the whole 12-bar blues again, just to get used to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. To D, back to A9. E9, D9, back to A9, E9. Another thing I forgot to mention on the close-up there, make sure the tip of your second finger touches the 6th string to mute it as well. Doesn't matter so much when you're playing fingerstyle jazz, that kind of plucking with your thumb and the 3 fingers, but if you're strumming, it's quite important that the second finger moves over. Once you've got those 2 chords down, you can use just like one chord all of the way through. The next stage would be to mix them up a little bit with the dominant chords that you've already learned. So you might play, say, A7 just for 2. Remember there's 4 strums in a bar. So you might use 2, then go straight to that A9, and then you do the D9. So it's a nice little... You might go to D7, D9, back to A7. E7, then to D9, A7 to E9. Remembering as well, another little variation that you might want to throw in, if you're playing your regular A7 chord using an E shape, you can also put your little finger down on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Sounds pretty nice. So you that's part 1 for your little getting into jazz, is to get down these 2 9th chords. Not too much, 2 new chords, it's not a big deal. Have a little bit of fun with them. Keep working on them. Maybe check out lesson 2 where we start looking at some arpeggios and how to join them together. But it's important that you develop your chord playing as well as your lead playing at the same time. I hope you find that helpful, and I'll see you for another lesson real soon. Bye.